and Rescue 911. Now the author of a novel, Tekwar. We welcome you to the Larry King Show once again, Bill.
Thank you, Jim. Last time I was here, the hardcover version of Tekwar was coming out, and it was selling well and sold well. And now I'm back to tell you and your audience that the softcover version is coming out, and it should be on your bookstores right now.
Got it right in front of me here. Tekwar is the name of it, if you haven't heard about it, by the way, and it has gotten rave reviews. I must ask you very honestly, some of the reviews that I've seen about Tekwar, I think we're a little surprised, because since you are so good and so well known at what you do, you're just not expected to be good at something else. Had you, in fact, been a closet novelist before this?
Not a novelist, but I've been writing for a long time. I wrote television screenplays when I was at the CBC in Canada when I was coming out. And I've worked with writers over the last 20 years, fashioning screenplays, and had a hand in the writing the story of Star Trek V, and I had a hand in the writing of the screenplay of Star Trek V.
Now, I've talked to a lot of novelists who have told me what a difficult chore it is to learn how to write screenplays. And now we approach someone from the different point of view. You had done screenplays first. Did you find that transition to be as difficult going the other way as most novelists I've talked to?
Well, I've tried to write a screenplay as a novel. There is about Tekwar a linear storytelling and a very visual sense, so that if you were to read Tekwar, you'd be reading the equivalent of a screenplay. It reads like a movie would play. It cuts to the middle of the scene. You leave a scene at its height and go on to the next scene. There's a rhythm to the cutting of the chapters. It reads like a screenplay, which I hoped it will be. You know.
It does, and I thought perhaps that it might be disjointed. I found it simply kept the pace going. For those of you, by the way, who have not read Tekwar, we'll just tease you a bit on chapter 1 here. Again, if you missed it in hardcover, you can cheap out on Bill, and you can get it at a lower rate in the new paperback version of same from Ace Novels. But the very opening page, he didn't know he was about to come back to life. Up in the orbiting penal colony, he slept unaware of anything. Time had passed, days and weeks, and then months and years. He kept sleeping that long sleep. By the way, the hero of this book is ex-cop Jake Cardigan. Tell us about him.
Well, there I was, holed up in my office at Paramount Studios, waiting for Star Trek V to begin, and it was being delayed for one reason or another. A total of almost a year from when we started it to when we finished. The delays took almost a year. It took 3 years to make. And I wanted to write something that I thought might be read by more than me and my family. So I thought that putting the police character I played on television, T.J. Hooker, into a futuristic setting like I was working with and had talked to people who call themselves futurists. I'd been inculcated into that world. And I had spent 5 years with T.J. Hooker associating myself with policemen. I combined the two worlds and made a policeman that a role I could play, and a milieu that I was, if not familiar with, I allowed my imagination to roam.
So I was correct. That was what I kept thinking, this guy could be T.J. Hooker. And he really is, in a way. T.J. Hooker born several years hence.
That's right. And the problem that he faces, the drug tech, is an extension of the drug problem we face today, except that although the drugs of today satisfy the needs that the people who are addicted to it satisfies a hole in their personality. It satisfies a need in their character. It placates a hunger. Tech does the same thing, but it is the drug of the future.
What kind of a drug is tech? I mean, could you compare it with the drugs of today?
No, except the people who are addicted to television and are able to turn their mind off by watching television. In this instance, it is akin to television. It's a computer device that you put on, and it makes you feel whatever it is you want to feel. So Jake Cardigan is divorced and lonely, and when he finds himself caught up in it again, he is no longer divorced, and his son is back with him.
We will, of course, be back with your calls very shortly, not immediately, but in much closer proximity to now than we usually do, because obviously a lot of people want to like to talk to William Shatner. And again, he is our guest tonight from our studios in Los Angeles. His latest effort is a novel, Tekwar. If you saw it in paperback and rather hardcover, decided to wait, it is now out in paperback, and it is a most interesting novel. As he mentioned, it combines some of the elements of both his experiences with Star Trek and also with T.J. Hooker, a futuristic cop and a fast-paced story. Good reviews for this book, I might add. And we'll also, of course, be talking about a few other things. Star Trek VI, will there be one, etc. Rescue 911, and goodness knows what all else with William Shatner. Jim Bohannon here for Larry King this week. We'll be back after these messages. Word of mouth.
You're listening to The Larry King Show, and sitting in for Larry tonight, here's Jim Bohannon.
As we talk to the man who made that music famous, let's hear the big fanfare, shall we? William Shatner in our studios in Los Angeles. If you but had a dime for every time you've heard that music played, Bill, you'd be richer than you are.
A nasty dig.
No, not a nasty dig. Not a nasty dig, but you are inextricably...
From a have to a have.
You're inextricably linked to that music. Now, you have not obviously been typecast to the point that it has hurt the other efforts you've done, but nonetheless, you will always be. Will you not, Captain Kirk?
Well, I suppose I will. I used to deny that, but since you've now announced it over the air and people have heard you, I guess I can't escape it. Well, I've come to the conclusion some time ago that it's not such a bad thing. I love watching Star Trek. I love being a part of Star Trek. And if that's the way I'm going to be known, well, that's as good a fate as any.
Let's face it now, there are dimensions to this character that have not... fallen other characters we see on television. For example, now there's a place in Iowa, Riverside, Iowa, I think it is, where in fact they have already designated the future birthplace of Captain Kirk.
Yes, well, a cynic might note that it brings publicity to the town, but not for me to be so bold as to say that. I'll be filled with the milk of human kindness and say that it's an honor to be. That the character is thought of in that way and accepted with everything that they meant.
We had some calls not too many months ago from people who were irate about rumors that Star Trek VI might turn out to be a total satire. Now, I grant you that in Star Trek IV, for example, there were certain satirical elements to the picture, but apparently this would be virtually like Airplane Goes to Star Trek. I wonder, have you heard if that it might happen, and if so, your thoughts about that?
Well, I wouldn't be a part of that if it were to happen, and I don't believe it was going to happen. For some while, I think there was a great deal of indecision to the executives at Paramount in making another Star Trek. As of late, the rumor I have is that a script is being worked on, and if the script is acceptable, we might very well make another Star Trek later on in the year or the beginning of next year. Next year brings about the 25th anniversary
is that right?
Of Star Trek from the time it went on the air as a series.
That's really depressing.
Isn't it dull for you as a watcher? But I think about me and watching myself on the screen, and so that's a kind of a landmark, and it would seem to be clever programming to make a Star Trek movie for that date. So I would hope that Star Trek, that the Paramount people would consider that.
But when you hear this talk, for example, you and Leonard Nimoy were actively involved in the last 2 Star Trek movies. I gather from the way you're talking that at this juncture, neither one of you seems to be all that actively involved in it.
Well, actually, Leonard is more involved than I. There has been a shifting of the guard in some instances, and Leonard has proffered a story that was accepted by Paramount, and it's being worked on. Now, whether that story becomes a fact and whether the screenplay is good enough, there are so many exigencies and so many hurdles to mount before a movie is made. But at least something is underway, and that's all I know.
Have you seen Star Trek The Next Generation on television, which is in syndication now? And assuming that you have, what do you think about it?
Star Trek The Next Generation, I really, the truth of the matter is, I really haven't seen it. That may stagger you, and
yes, it does, honestly.
And it staggers me to say it. But I really haven't seen it, and I think perhaps I've avoided seeing it because of questions like this, where it's I could give an easy answer and say, "Gee, I liked it very much, very good," and go on. But I really don't know what it's like. It's very popular.
Yes, it's doing quite well in syndication.
It's doing quite well in syndication, which should evidence that it has qualities that the Star Trek viewing audience wants to see. So it must be good.
It is good. I'll give you a capsule review. The special effects are strictly state-of-the-art and therefore far superior to the original TV show, although no different, I suppose, from what you see in the Star Trek movies. The ensemble cast is quite good, but they suffer terribly from comparison because they will always be compared. That's capsule review. Anyway, we'll take a break. We'll come back with more. William Shatner is our guest. We'll be taking your calls very, very shortly at 703-685-2177. And, of course, although we made our obligatory mention of Star Trek, we would again point out that Bill is on the program tonight primarily to tell us about Tekwar, which is his first novel, and is now out in paperback. It is quite an interesting book, and it does, as he pointed out, combine some aspects of 2 previous roles, that of Captain Kirk and of T.J. Hooker. We'll take a break and be back after these messages.
The sun. You're listening to The Larry King Show, and sitting in for Larry tonight, here's Jim Bohannon.
Ah, yes. We have to hear this at least one more time. One of the legendary musical signatures of television history from the original TV show from Star Trek. And our guest tonight, William Shatner, has expanded his horizons once more into a novel, Tekwar. And before we continue with that and go to some calls, tell us a little bit about one of your avocations that has made the news in recent years. You raise horses.
Well, that's true. I have a farm in Kentucky called Belle Rev, outside of Lexington in the bluegrass of Kentucky. And I raise saddlebreds. And I have, as a stallion, as a stud, what people are saying as the premier horse in the country, which makes it the world, because saddlebreds are primarily an American invention. So I'm not arguing with the people who say that the premier stallion in the saddlebred breed resides in Belle Rev in Kentucky. We have a great broodmare band that was chosen by a woman I consider a genius in both the training and the selection of breeding. Her name is Donna Moore, and Donna has selected a broodmare band to go to complement this great stallion. And our babies are phenomenal. And we've been at it 5-6 years, and his older babies are now coming onto the scene and beginning to win world championships. And there's an index of these stallions that's kept by a trade magazine, and he leapt from not being on the index to the highest point that a horse of his age has ever gone to.
That's remarkable. That's great.
So I've lucked out.
You have not lucked out. You've done a good job.
Well, I've lucked out in the people I've been able to associate with, and with the fact that since everything is so chancy, a great horse comes to you by virtue of other circumstances other than what your acumen brings, and it's luck, fate, whatever you will. But it's given to very few people to have a great horse.
Well, congratulations to you in that regard, and of course also for the new novel from William Shatner, Tekwar, which is new in paperback now as we take our first call tonight, and that's Jackson, Mississippi. Hello.
Hello, Mr. Shatner.
Hello.
I'd read an article where some of the original actors from Star Trek showed an interest in guesting on the new Star Trek. I'd like to know if you ever considered that.
Well, it would be no. I haven't considered it. I just think it would be impossible to bring the character from the old series to the new series. Which
didn't DeForest Kelley reprise Dr. Bones on
I think he did.
The original episode? Yeah,
I was told he did, and I'm not sure that was a good idea. I don't know how the story went, but for myself, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah. All right. Next call comes from New York City for Bill Shatner. Hello.
Yes, I have two questions.
All right.
I remember you pretty well from the pyramid and sidelight. Is the pyramid still in existence? Because it doesn't play in New York. And the other question is about, do you remember like early space episodes like Captain Video and Tom Corbett's Space Cadet? Did they play any impact on your own personal psychology and involvement in Star Trek?
The pyramid he's referring to is the $25,000 pyramid. In a certain number of years, it was kind of a happening for people in the industry. We'd go out to New York from Los Angeles and do 5 shows in one day, and it was crazed. It was kind of wild and wonderful. I had a moment on that show where I had to play against myself. The producer had become a friend of mine and said, go on out there and play against yourself. I got so caught up in it, I couldn't give the right answers, although the answers were in front of me. And I forced him on the air to give $1,000 to charity. It was wild. That's what he's referring to.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
Okay. We're going to have to take a break here, Bill. We're going to come back and answer the second part of that question about his thoughts on early science fiction on TV in a moment here on the Mutual Broadcasting System.
Bigotry and hate. The King Show is taking your calls now at 703-685-2177. That's 703-685-2177. And sitting in for Larry tonight is Jim Bohannon.
Our guest tonight, William Shatner, the star of Star Trek, of T.J. Hooker, and, of course, the host of Rescue 911, which we'll have to ask you about briefly in just a moment. But tonight we're talking about the paperback debut of Bill Shatner's first novel, Tekwar, which is a tremendous science fiction crime novel, if you will, and it moves along. I would recommend this book. In fact, let's face it here, with all your connections in Hollywood, Bill, this seems like an obvious possible movie.
Well, it's possible. What's happening, interestingly enough, is that Putnam has asked me to write a second novel using that character, and I finished that. We're calling it Tech Lords, and that'll be out in the wintertime. And we're even beginning to negotiate for a third and fourth novel, which they're calling now the Jake Cardigan series after the lead character's name. So there's a series of books coming out that could lend itself to any one of a number of ways of going. It's just turned out to be a fortuitous thing.
I can see it now. It's the year 2005, Jeopardy! $500 category. Name the career novelist William Shatner was involved in before he became a novelist. Okay. Incidentally, before we take this next call, the previous caller had asked about the influences of early science fiction, Captain Video, and all this. Did you ever see that stuff?
No, I never did. In fact, some of the old footage that I have seen in this latter day seems very funny. I suppose we all accepted it in those early days of television as being the way to go, and all that you can do, and accepted those adventures, because if we didn't, we'd be laughing ourselves silly. But the Buck Rogers comic strips and the television shows, the radio shows that left it to your imagination.
Yeah, the special effects in your head back then were a lot better than the ones on the screen.
That's right. Those things intrigued me, and I read a lot of science fiction.
All right, Houston now for Bill Shatner. Hello.
Yes, hello, Mr. Shatner.
Hello.
What's your view on slow motion TV?
Beg your pardon? You're not talking about high-definition TV, are you, caller?
Slow motion TV, what you see isn't real?
I don't guess I know. I don't guess I know quite what you mean, caller. Do we see this often? I don't.
Well, I see it on MTV and stuff like that. And
well, just as a technique, I guess.
You mean when the motion of whatever you're seeing is slowed down? Is that what you mean?
I guess that's what
it's very effective.
Yes,
it's very effective, and it's a good tool to use judiciously.
And it certainly does make things go a lot slower. New Haven, Connecticut now. Hello.
Hi, Jim.
Hi.
Mr. Shatner, I have two quick questions for you.
Sure.
What is the real story on why Star Trek was taken off the air and actually never went back on television? And secondly, don't you regard whatever typecasting you were involved in as a double-edged sword, so to speak, because after all, when the movie series did begin, there was only one man that could play Captain Kirk, and that must have tremendously enhanced your negotiating power.
Let's see. What was your first question?
First question had to do with the true story about how the TV series was taken off of network first-run airing.
Well, the reason television shows go off the air is no secret. It has to do. It's very clear and very bright, and anything else is usually not the truth. And that is, if people are watching a show, the network executives are going to keep it on because they make money by keeping it on. If people are beginning not to look at it, the network executives begin to think about taking it off. And our show was in a gray area of, we were like in the 40s of popularity, and it's in that area that network executives think maybe we can put on another show that'll be more popular and be number one.
In fact, what was the highest rating that Star Trek had as a first-run show?
I don't remember what the highest rating was, but I don't think we ever got out of the 40s.
Right. In other words, there were always at least 40 programs with higher.
39 other shows were more popular than we were.
Yeah, that's part of the mythology. I guess people forget that. Also, the mythology has it, I think, that an outpouring of love from the fans forced NBC to renew the show.
That's not entirely true either. It may have tipped the scales. I don't think so. I think the executives were never going to take it off, or were going to take it off and didn't have a suitable show to replace us with that year. As for my negotiating position, actors are always filled with fear. So your negotiating position is only as firm as your resolve to give something up, and I was resolved not to give that up.
But isn't the caller right? I mean, no one else could have at that point played Captain Kirk.
At the time, if I remember correctly, they were talking about all kinds of things. I suppose in retrospect, no, but at the time, in the heat of negotiation, no, I wouldn't say I was in a great position.
All right, to Greenville, North Carolina now. Hello. Pennsylvania, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah.
Good evening, gentlemen. Mr. Shatner, you're not known for really understanding what the popularity of Star Trek is all about. Well, you got your shots in Saturday Night Live and stuff. Do you think that's because you never really can watch the show without forgetting you were in it? I mean, you're like watching yourself, and you're watching.
Can you watch it as a purely objective viewer? It must be.
Well, I'll tell you, I hate to look at myself, so I try to avoid doing that as much as possible. I go to any lengths. I suffered the agonies of humiliation when I would have to look at the daily rushes on Star Trek V of myself. So that is possibly one aspect. I believe I know. I have a theory on what makes Star Trek work, but it's all guesswork. And since there's no definitive answer to it, because if there was a formula, other shows would concoct the formula and it would work. There's an indefinable something about Star Trek, and that constitutes a hit. There's a chemistry, and what that chemistry is, nobody knows, and nobody in show business knows what constitutes a hit. We're always surprised.
Could you expound a bit as we go to the next call on the agony of humiliation from a veteran actor, a proven actor, a star, an international mammoth box office hit? How does this person suffer the agony of humiliation watching daily rushes of a movie? I mean, when you've already proven yourself over and over and over again.
Have you ever seen a picture of yourself that you haven't liked?
Well, yeah, but I'm not Bill Shatner.
No, I know, but I mean, you look at it and you say, "Oh gosh, I wish they hadn't." Well, that's what a lot of us do. I mean, we look at those pictures of ourselves and say, "Oh no!" I mean, because what you have, the mental image you have of yourself, and what is in actual fact that you're presenting to the world is very different. Sometimes, in some minds, quite totally different. A person may think they're young, slim, and dark-haired, where they may be the exact opposite. Obviously, I'm being facetious, but your mental image of what you are and the physical facts are frequently at odds. And it's those odds that you don't like to watch.
Okay, good point. Cincinnati now, you're on the radio.
William Shatner. I'll tell you something that I just was interested in. I really enjoyed watching T.J. Hooker. And I was just wondering, who is the one that is in charge of putting those things in reruns, because you just don't see them anymore. I just wonder if any big company's in charge of it, or if it has something to do with you, or why it's not in reruns anymore, because I really enjoyed the show.
Well, that's very kind of you. No, it has to do with I don't know who makes those decisions, but
well, you have a syndication company, right? The rights belong to some firm, right?
Well, the rights belong to some syndication company, but everything is based on economics in the television industry, and if people are watching something, you will see it, and if people are not watching something, you will not see it, and presumably, T.J. Hooker, which had a good syndication run all over the country, and is very popular in England, number one or something like that in England right now, has had its run in the United States at least for a while, as in many instances you won't find Star Trek for a while until it's a sufficient length of time has gone by until the audience wants to see it again. I presume that's the same with T.J. Hooker.
By the way, Rescue 911, this is not an acting role for you. It's a host-narrator kind of role, almost a 60-minute anchor kind of role. How do you like that? It's a neat job. I love the show. It started off as a special. In fact, two specials. Arnold Shapiro is a wonderful producer who had done many award-winning shows, and he asked me to host these two specials. And while I was working as a host on these two specials, I realized that it would make a wonderful series, and tried to promulgate that, and did so in publicity. And so then when it was played, the audience took to it, and the network saw it as a series. So in some small way, I had seen it for what it might be. I never expected it to be this popular, nor did anybody. And the show was not well reviewed when it went on the air, but it has turned everybody around. And it is as popular as anything I've ever done. People come up to me and talk to me about lives that have been saved as a result of Rescue 911, and I find watching the show a terrific experience. I really love to watch it. As opposed to the other shows that you've done.
Well, no, the other shows.
You say you don't like to look at Bill Shatner.
Well, you see, I'm not looking at myself so much. I try to avoid, when I come on, I try and go get the popcorn. But the stories are wonderfully interesting.
They are.
And everybody's done such a good job on it.
We're going to take a break. We'll come back with more of your calls. William Shatner is our guest tonight, and we have of course, have touched on a number of aspects of his illustrious career, including, naturally, Star Trek, T.J. Hooker, Rescue 911, currently on CBS, and his novel, Tekwar, now out in paperback. And it is a remarkable story of crime in the future, and, of course, super cop Jake Cardigan, back after these messages.
Folks, I'm here with
He was in Los Angeles. William Shatner, actor, horse breeder, and now novelist. William Shatner is our guest. 703-685-2177, our number. And Bill Shatner's new novel, again in paperback. You'll catch it on the bookshelves now. Big, bright, metallic blue letters. You can't miss it. William Shatner and Tekwar, Tekwar, right across the front. We go to Champaign, Illinois now. Hello.
Yes, I noticed in Tekwar, which I think was a marvelous book, that you had an assistance from another writer. I was wondering how he assisted you.
Well, he's a wonderful writer. His name is Ron Goulart. And in that very first page, you may read that I praise him. I can't praise him enough. He worked with me on this novel and the subsequent novel, and hopefully on the others that will come. He is a wonderful writer in his own right, and I would pass him material. We'd talk on the phone. He would pass me material, and it was very much a combination of the two of us.
I would think that would be kind of difficult. Sooner or later, somebody would have to call the shot. Were you, quote, in charge?
Well, yes, but it's not really the way it works. On a good relationship like that, you say, don't you think, and wouldn't it be better if, and all those kinds of words, rather than this is the way it should be.
We have North Glen, Colorado here to talk to Bill Shatner. Hello.
Oh, hi, Mr. Shatner. I was in a bookstore yesterday, and I saw your book, but I guess you lost out to Creating the Future and Lisa Birnbaum's college book and Democracy in the Streets. But I was wondering if either you or Star Trek, the second generation, might ever get back to Weapon of Lazarus and pick up this poor guy who's locked in this life and death struggle.
That's an interesting concept. Of course, the second Star Wars motion picture, The Wrath of Khan, was based on an episode from the TV show. And the episode this caller mentions always was one that intrigued me.
Really?
Yeah. Remember your final words? What of Lazarus?
Yes. There's science fiction has so much about it that lends itself to bringing up the past and allowing your imagination to stroke the future. It is, and it can be epic in proportion, as we've seen in movies like Star Wars, or as complex and intimate as Blade Runner. It is a marvelous form of entertainment and elucidation, I think, and certainly What of Lazarus is. What was an example of that?
All right, now Lubbock, Texas is next for William Shatner. Go ahead.
Hello, Mr. Shatner. I just have a brief message for you and a question. The last time you were on the Larry King Show, I was the first caller to put on, and I wrote, that I talked to you to a pen pal of mine in Paris, who is also a Star Trek fan, and she wrote back to me and said if I ever got a chance to talk to you again, to give you her thanks, because you're one of the many people, or one of the people that she looks up to.
Well, that's wonderful. Thank you.
My question is, I heard this on the news the other day, and I was wondering if you had any thoughts on it, of the Star Trek opera that is in the works.
I was going to ask you about that. Is that, first of all, true?
Well, I'd heard about it, too. I'm intrigued. The style of acting that seemed to have evolved on the series was, and I suppose aided and abetted by the writing, was somewhat operatic anyway. The forces of good and evil and the titanic struggles and the bad guys were always really black, and there it was kind of Wagnerian in scope. I think it would lend itself to an opera, and I have heard the rumor of them putting on an opera. I would be intrigued as all get out, just as much as you. I know nothing more about it.
We'll see what happens about that. We'll take a break, and we'll come back with more phone calls for William Shatner from our studios in Los Angeles. And his new novel is Tekwar, now out in paperback from Ace Novels. Back after these messages.
Jim Bohannon.
And William Shatner is our guest for the evening from our studios in Los Angeles. Washington, D.C. now. Go ahead.
Hi, two questions.
Mm-hmm.
One of your more obscure roles was like on a special called The 10th Level, something science fictionish, in which you were a scientist doing personality exploration and found that people, when they were treated badly, would treat others badly and so on. And you felt this was very noble until you found out later on in the show that you were doing exactly the same thing to your the people you were experimenting with. I was curious whether that had anything to affect it in any way your novel.
No, it didn't affect my novel, but it affected me. And I think the point of that show was based on some experiments that social scientists were holding, in which they put a person who was going to learn something in an isolation booth, and the person who was going to teach them something in another booth which had 20 switches, each incrementally adding electrical charge, so that at the 10th charge, the 10th level, it caused excruciating pain, and at the 20th level, it caused death. And there was a white-coated authority figure urging this person on to see if the incremental pain would help the person in the isolation booth learn faster. That seemed to be ostensibly the reason for the experiment, but in fact what it was to see whether the person pushing the buttons would go beyond the 10th level. And it in fact was a rigged thing. There was no electricity, and it was an actor in the isolation room. And it was an experiment to see how far people would take an authoritative word.
Wow, and, that is really kind of Machiavellian.
Well, it was an actual experiment, and there was a large percentage of people went beyond the 10th level because this white-coated figure said, "Well, press it," and they offered either minor or no objections, and the percentages changed in various nationalities around the world.
Boy, that is a chilling story. Austin, Texas, next. Hello.
Yes, I have a couple of real quick comments and one question.
Sure.
When I had the honor of reviewing Tekwar for a small local fanzine, and I wanted to give him a hard time because on page 65, he makes a comment about Trek running buddies. And it's obviously a typo, but it was quite amusing because there's a lot of black market Star Trek going on.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's quite amusing. It's page 65.
Thanks for pointing it out.
Well, I'm looking at page. You're talking about the paperback or the hardcover?
The hardcover, mass market.
I've only got the paperback, and it's obviously the wrong page. Anyway, you're saying that it said Trek instead of Tech.
Yeah, well, the quote is, I won't say the first word of the quote, but it's your Trek running buddies and so on.
That is funny. I never caught that one.
It is really, I thought it was great.
Now, when you say for a fanzine, are you talking about a science fiction magazine or one exclusively aimed at the Star Trek genre?
Well, this covers general science fiction, focusing on Star Trek, Doctor Who, and that sort of thing.
Okay. Anyway, you had another point?
Yes, I had another question.
Okay, go ahead.
While I liked your directing very much in Star Trek 6, I did have a question.
5.
As to the use of computer graphics for the special effects, and I really wanted to know why y'all didn't go with Industrial Light and Magic.
They were busy with, I guess, Indiana Jones and something else. They had 2 or 3 films that they were busy with. Their best people were on Lucasfilms, and we thought that we might be able to do better going elsewhere. So we gambled with an unknown quantity and got our special effects elsewhere.
All right.
It was a very business-like decision.
This is Tucson next. Go ahead.
Hi, how you doing there, Jim and Bill?
Fine.
Hi.
I got a question for you real quick, Jim. How many lines are there?
14. 14 incoming lines.
Okay, if I make a habit of this, I'm going to have to get a speakerphone. Anyway, Bill, I got a question for you here. what you'd call, I guess, a medium Star Trek fan. I go to the conventions, but I don't dress up in the uniforms, okay?
Okay, so there's still hope for you.
Define medium.
Go to one of those that you parodied in Saturday Night Live, Get a Life.
I don't think I parodied it. I think
You ripped it.
That was good. Great question. At the last convention I went to, James Doohan was there.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Scotty, for those who don't follow Star Trek religiously. Okay.
Anyway, one of the questions from the audience was, how did you like working with William Shatner?
Mm-hmm.
And I want to get your side of this. His answer, very abrupt, very quickly, he says, I didn't. Not at all. Next question. What's the story on that?
We've only got...
I don't know. I thought he was a marvelous fellow. I'm really sorry to hear it. Maybe he didn't mean it.
Yeah, let's assume that, shall we? Because I know last time I went to a Trek convention, as a reporter, you understand, purely.
I thought maybe as a medium fan.
As a mediumly afflicted person, but Nichelle Nichols was there, who of course played Lieutenant Uhura, and she raved about working with you. And of course the famous interracial kiss that was the first on network TV, which we might discuss a bit more. But the clock on the wall says we must take a break. We'll come back with another hour of calls for Bill Shatner at 703-685-2177. Jim Bohannon for Larry King on the Mutual Broadcasting System.
As one of New York City's working parents, you should know about child...
The Larry King Show is taking your calls now at 703-685-2177. That's 703-685-2177. Let the connection ring. We'll answer when it's your turn. And now, sitting in for Larry tonight, here's Jim Bohannon.
Yes, indeed. Let the connection ring. We'll answer when we're damn good and ready. But we will try to get to your calls as fast as we can. Always wanted to say that. Okay, William Shatner is our guest tonight from our studios in Los Angeles. And Mr. Star Trek, Mr. T.J. Hooker, and... he's Mr. Novelist. Tekwar, that's spelled Tekwar, and it was out, of course, in hardcover. It's out in paperback now, and a very, very fascinating look at what the world of tomorrow might be. Greater Los Angeles and crime and a substance called tech, an addictive brain stimulant. Portland, Oregon, now you're on the air with Bill Shatner.
Well, hello.
Well, hello there.
I really enjoy this. I have to tell you, I have been if the last guy was a medium fan, I'm an extra large.
In other words, when you go to the conventions, you really believe.
Oh.
Do you go to Trek conventions, caller?
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. We have several up here. There's one coming up in Seattle on September 1st, and Bones is going to be up there, and I'm going.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, I'm a diehard. But you guys gave us our future back. I'm a kid from the 60s with the peace marches and all, and the world is coming apart. And you guys just gave us our future back, you and Great Bird, and I really have to thank you for that. I became a scientist because of you guys.
You mean you are a real scientist?
Yeah, I just graduated with a Bachelor of Science in biology.
Congratulations.
My ambition in life is to be the first exobiologist on the Enterprise.
Okay.
That's wonderful.
You have a shot.
Do you have a question for our guest?
Yeah, the question is, we heard rumors at the last convention about this idea for a Star Trek 6 about going back to the Academy days with a younger cast. And
that was bandied about. It's no longer exists.
Good. Yeah. Have you any news you can share about 6?
I've really shared with you all that I know. I just know that the script is being worked on, and if it should be successful, why, there's a chance we'll make another movie.
All right.
Well, I'll sure keep my fingers crossed.
I bet you'll buy 20 tickets, won't you? I know you will. Sunnyvale, California now for William Shatner. Hello.
Hi, Mr. Shatner. How are you?
Hi. Really well. Yourself?
I'm great.
I have a question. I just wondered if you put much of yourself into your characters, like and Captain Kirk or maybe Jake, in your book.
I'm sure that's the case, especially working on a television series. You don't have a chance to plan anything. You don't have a chance to dissemble yourself saying the words as you yourself would say them. Yeah, almost. And so I'm sure that I'm a great deal like the character Captain Kirk.
Really?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I saw you at a convention just a couple months ago, I guess, and I thought you were really entertaining. You were great. You know, one of the best people that I've seen in a convention. So.
Do you have a question for him?
I just happened.
Oh, I guess you did have one. I thought you had another one. All right. Before we take the next call, I was under the impression that in recent years that, shall we say, the big three of Star Trek, which is, say, DeForest, Kelly, Leonard Nimoy, and you, did not go to that many Trek conventions anymore.
Well, that's the truth. When Star Trek V was ready to come out, I went to a half a dozen of them or so to publicize the picture and and then as the picture came out to see what the reaction was. But I hadn't been to conventions in years. I don't know the reason why. I just hadn't been. And it was a fascinating experience for me to meet with people like some of these people who were calling and answer questions and entertain them for an hour and a half. In addition to that, I found that I was able to get money by one means or another donated to charities, and that was a source of some satisfaction.
Another legend of the 60s, if you will, Paul McCartney, is still touring, and he is finding that his audience now still includes the very young, that is to say, people who weren't even around when the Beatles were first big, but it also includes now the original fans. And he said that at one of his recent concerts there was a granny type of woman with graying hair who was up in the aisle boogieing to his music. Now I wonder, does that carry over? Does that carry over to Star Trek fans? When you go to
I've seen that same woman boogieing in some of the Star Trek.
Do you see
yes, it does.
A new generation plus the old fans?
Absolutely. I'll see the grandmothers and the grandfathers holding their kids in their laps, and the kids asking questions, and the grandparents laughing at them. Yes, when we were on the air, and of course subsequent to that, we spanned all the demographics. We appealed to the children and to the students and to the older people, and apparently we still do. And we see those people coming to the convention.
On to the next call in St. Petersburg, Florida. Hello.
Yes, Mr. Shatner. I have a question for you about T.J. Hooker.
Yeah.
I was wondering what brought the demise of that show. Why was it canceled? Do you know?
Well, the same reason every show is canceled. There comes a point in a show's life where the audience has decided that they've seen enough of it, and they're beginning to drift to the opposition, and the numbers slowly decline. In this instance, if I remember correctly, the numbers didn't so much decline as stay steady, and the executives of the network thought, well, we'll try another show, maybe we can get more popular. As it turned out, they never got a show as popular as T.J. Hooker in that time slot. I don't think they ever have.
I guess a lot of this whole success story in television is placement. I mean, if you go up against Cosby, for example, or Roseanne, or Cheers, it doesn't really matter how good the show is, does it?
Well, it's happened to me in the past where a show I was on was against the most popular show of that time, and we were taken off the air in 13 weeks on another series that I did. Yes, placement is everything.
No,
Placement is civilization. No, placement is, what is the word? How's that phrase go?
Well, they're the three most important things in retail outlets.
Placement is destiny.
Placement is destiny. I hadn't heard that one, but
that's a phrase
I like it. I like it. We'll come back with more from William Shatner. 703-685-2177 is our number tonight, as he tells us about his career tonight and possibilities of Star Trek VI, and of course, Tekwar, now out in paperback, Bill Shatner's first novel. Back after these messages. California, we turn now to Concord, California on the line. Hello, you're on the radio. Go ahead.
Hi, Mr. Shatner.
Hi.
Oh, wow. I just wanted to tell you that I really enjoyed Star Trek and T.J. Hooker, and I was wondering if you had a child growing up today, would you recommend
do you watch Star Trek? I mean, would that be something that you'd say that was all right for your child to watch?
I would indeed. I think it's a fine show for any age to watch. That's a good question, actually. Something I haven't been asked before.
It's really, I really enjoyed it. I think it's a family-like show, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And also, were you like as good of friends with like Leonard Nimoy off the show as you were like on?
I think so. Len and I consider myself a friend of his, and I know he's a dear friend of mine. I admire him, and I love him very much.
Oh, that's really great. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much for that call. By the way, speaking of children, is it true that the daughter of a rather famous celebrity, Joan Rivers' daughter, Melissa, works on the production staff for 911? I had heard that.
Really?
Yeah.
That's very possible.
Now, of course, the real name there is not Rivers. I forget what Edgar, her husband's name was.
Right.
Rosenberg?
Right, that was his...
Melissa Rosenberg. Anyway, I think
you're right.
Yeah, I believe that's Joan Rivers' daughter.
Yes.
Yes. Part of your production staff. Small world, Hollywood. Okay. San Diego now. Hello.
Yeah, how you doing?
Fine.
I had a question. I was wondering, I seem to be going around a lot of these bookstores looking for your book, and it seems like it's hard, title to find.
It's hard to find?
Yeah, I was wondering what date did it come out?
It's out now. Yeah. I mean, it's out in this last few days.
Yeah, well, we've got a Crown Bookstore down in Florida from here. The place is stacked with Tech Wars.
What part of the country are you from?
San Diego.
I'm from San Diego.
You're in San Diego and you don't find a book?
Yeah, I went to some of the book places. I guess I actually got to look really deep then.
Well, you've startled me. I'm marking down San Diego on a piece of paper right here.
Yeah. Do you know when the next Trek convention will be in San Diego, by any chance?
No, I don't.
Because I was wondering if there's any way I could find out or something.
Why don't you call Paramount Studios?
No doubt,
Well, that would be the place. There are, of course, the fan magazines and the like. But they would know. Whoever carries Star Trek in reruns on television in San Diego, they would certainly know. But you might give that a try.
That's a good shot.
Yeah. Okay, Wichita now. You're on the radio.
Yes, Mr. Shatner.
Yes.
I was wondering, I have two questions. One, how would you compare the Next Generation that's on now to the old Star Trek?
Mm-hmm.
And number two, DeForest Kelley and the actor that played Sarek, who name escapes me right now.
Mark Leonard.
Yes.
Yeah.
Both of them have made cameo or major appearances on an episode.
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering, would you consider making a cameo appearance on the series that's on now?
Obviously, someone who tuned in late.
Right. No, I don't think it's possible for me to do that, and so I wouldn't do it. And
you have, in fact, not even seen Star Trek: The Next Generation, you say?
It's been tough for me. It comes on Sunday afternoons here in Los Angeles, and I'm not around a television set on Sunday afternoons, so I actually haven't seen The Next Generation.
We'll pause briefly. More calls to come. William Shatner, our guest tonight on The Larry King Show. I'm Jim Bohannon, back after these messages. The novel is called Tekwar, out now in paperback. We take a call from Grand Prairie, Texas. Hello.
Hello. Mr. Shatner,
yes.
Have you ever read any of the Star Trek novels that have been published since the series went off the air?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, I guess you've seen them in the stores, right?
I have indeed.
There have been dozens of them, yeah.
Yes, really, and some good, and some big sellers too.
The reason I was asking, the books seem to be so well put together. The characters are really they've stuck to the characters remarkably. I was just wondering if you'd ever seen one of those, and do you have any? Are there any plans maybe for you to write one?
Yeah, now that you're doing the novel writing, it would seem a natural, wouldn't it?
Well, I think I'm too close to it. And besides, the people who are doing it do such a wonderful job. I'm told that it would be callow of me to even think about it. No, I don't think I would do that. But
wonderful form of entertainment. This is Salt Lake City next. Hello.
Hi, I have 3.
Very quick ones.
William Shatner starred in a movie. Oh, I don't remember when it was, but anyways, it was about, I think he played a Secret Service guy, and the president was wired up in this van or something.
I bet you I know what it was. The kidnapping of the president?
That's right.
1979.
I was just wanting the name of that.
I'm reading his bio. It's not like I'm so blasted smart.
I was going to say, I don't know how you could...
Also, on a 50-50 chance, is there going to be a Star Trek 6?
Yeah, I would say that there are chances... there is a chance that there would be a Star Trek 6.
Okay, I sure wouldn't like to leave it all hanging like it is.
And what else? You had another question.
I just want to know William's opinion of the success of Star Trek 5 as compared to the other 4.
Well, financially, we didn't do as well. Last summer, when the picture came out, the movie industry changed. That was the first year that these blockbuster films were dropped like bombs every week or two. And when we came out, we followed something very popular, and we were the box office champs for a couple of weeks. And then Batman came out, and Batman changed the movie industry into what the criteria was for a movie hit, for example. There's never been a movie like Batman. So we got caught in the undertow of Batman, and our box office didn't do so well. We fell a certain percentage, I'm told something like 18%, which by those terms of Batman and all the other films that came out last summer wasn't too bad. But I would have wished that it had been enormously more successful.
Nonetheless, by not doing that well, I would dare say it must have done $100 million gross.
Well, I don't think it did quite that, but it's well up there, and by any measure, it became a hit. You know.
Now to Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Hello.
Hello, Captain. Glad to talk to you, sir.
Good.
And I'd just like to say that I'm one of the few supporters of Star Trek 5. I received a lot of, I thought, undeserved criticisms, and I just got through watching it, and I turned it off, and here I hear you on the radio there. It was quite a shock.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it.
But I'd just like to ask you, have you were talking about science fiction shows earlier. Have you seen any of the great British science fiction shows that have come out in the past couple of decades?
You mean the movies?
Well, any British science fiction series, you know.
Are you talking about that public broadcasting show? I can't think of the name of it now.
There's Doctor Who.
Doctor Who, that's what I'm thinking of.
No, I haven't seen it.
Well, there's a brilliant series called Blake 7 that some compared to Trek, and I just thought I would want to have heard of it.
No, I've heard of the name, but I haven't seen it. Strangely, I watch very little television. I'm a newsaholic. I love to watch the news, and I watch sports on television, but I watch very little else on television, and so I'm way behind the times on that kind of thing.
All right, this call comes from San Diego now. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Rick. The other caller kind of blew it for me. I was going to say that I bought one of the books and asked for you to sign it for me and send me an autograph. Forgive me, I'm a little bit nervous. And
if you think you're nervous, imagine how I feel. If you think you're nervous, think how I feel.
The funny thing is to me, though, the image that you project as Captain Kirk, such a positive, good image that you would think, just like the woman said, that everyone liked that character, and yet you say yourself that you don't like to see yourself as that character. And I'm wondering if it's because you just don't like the way you physically appear, or because you just don't like that character.
No. That's more the way I don't like the way I look. I want to look like Gregory Peck.
People don't realize, and it's funny, I don't hear the radio now, and I'm thinking of you as just a regular person now at the other end of the line. I'm beginning to calm down.
Good, I am a regular person.
People don't realize that, and they think of you as some, great person that they want to follow. I think that's why people call, just like the other one had said,
really?
When is the sixth movie going to come up? They want to see you again. They'd like to be able to follow someone like that.
What a nice thought, and I'll keep that in
So I hope
close
you
to my
won't be
heart.
so hard on yourself as a person, and remember, you are someone that everyone will remember. You've made your mark as much as, a George Washington, in my opinion, because I think science fiction is kind of like the way they say the mother of invention is necessity. I think science fiction is kind of the way that things get invented without a necessity. It makes us think. My father was in the space program. All my brothers are engineers. In fact, one's working on the space station now. And a lot of the ideas and concepts involved in that kind of evolution of man are realistic.
That's a good point. We've got to take a break.
Thank you very much for those kind words. I'll hold them close.
He is a regular fellow, by the way, folks. And in fact, we're going to be giving out Bill's home phone number shortly if you didn't get through. We'll take a break here on the Mutual Broadcasting System.
Racial prejudice and hate represent the kind of ignorance that can be fatal. We urge you to stand up for racial harmony. We're AM 1130 WNEW, New York.
When Carl Sagan speaks, you can count on him saying something like, the stars are billions and billions of miles away. And he's right. The distances in space are astounding. But how do scientists know the distance between stars? I'm Ed McMahon. I'll be right back to tell you, how do they do that?
Here you are, room 518. If you need anything, please.
We interrupt this hotel stay and turn it back. To remind you, every check-in begins with a choice.
Is that cash or charge?
And the right choice
Put it on my Discover card.
always pays off. Because the Discover card actually pays you cash back for every charge. Up to 1% back every year based on your annual purchases. And when you're checking in, that's worth checking out. It pays to Discover, the card that pays you back.
This is Dusty Lenscap for Kmart Photo Centers, where every Wednesday and Saturday you get 2 sets of standard-size prints for the price of 1. Vacation, where just 200 yards ahead or past the next pecan log sign or around the next jumping muskie motorhome awaits yet another photo opportunity. And while you've often lamented that you can't be in 2 places at the same time, with Kmart's 2-for-1 print offer, you can indeed be at 1 place 2 times. And isn't that nice? As long as you're coming to Kmart, don't forget the Philly.
How do astronomers know the distance between stars and planets? In 1671, 2 Frenchmen decided they would find out the distance between Earth and Mars. At that time, people knew that the sun was in the middle of our solar system and that the planets circled around it at different speeds. But they didn't know how far the planets were from Earth. One Frenchman, Jean Richer, traveled by ship to the port of Cayenne in French Guiana. His colleague, Giovanni Cassini, stayed behind in Paris. On a prearranged evening at the same hour, they both pointed their telescopes at Mars and took down its position in the sky relative to the other stars around it. Richer returned to Paris and the 2 astronomers compared notes. Since they knew Cayenne and Paris were 4,000 miles apart, they were able to construct a theoretical triangle.
This is the Larry King Show, live from Washington, D.C. Portions are played back in the Pacific time zone. And now, sitting in for Larry, here's Jim Bohannon.
And another half hour to go. Calls to William Shatner. His latest book is Tekwar. It is now out in paperback, and we go now to Warren, Michigan. Hello.
Hello, Mr. Shatner.
Hello.
I think you did a great job on Star Trek V.
Thank you.
And I was wondering, what do you think your chances are of being able to direct Star Trek VI?
If there's a Star Trek VI, I don't think Leonard or I will be directing it. Nothing has been set, but I just don't think we will. But anything is possible.
Okay.
All right, next call now. It comes to us from Cleveland tonight. Hello, you're on the radio.
Yes, Mr. Shatner, thank you for being on the radio tonight and sharing your time. I read your daughter's book on the making of Star Trek V, which I also enjoyed.
Mm-hmm.
And in the first draft, it was mentioned that it was much darker, and because of the success of Star Trek IV, the studio wanted to add more humor, which I think in some places was a small mistake. Would it be possible to elaborate on some of the parts that you wanted to keep that were forced out?
Well, it's to talk about it is like talking about an old dream, I suppose, and it's of interest to you and me, and I don't know who else. But for the sake of the fact that you bothered to call, I'll certainly give you an answer. The original story actually had the Star Trek cast looking for God and finding what would have turned out to be the devil, and that seemed too close to being controversial for everybody. So they had me remove it by one, so that it became an alien who was acting like God, who was a very bad animal. But that then accounted for the darkness of, and I suppose that might have been a strength in the original story.
You certainly have, well, I guess you could say gone where no science fiction movie has gone before, really, with the reincarnation of Spock and then this search for God, really rather theological overtones to those pictures.
Mm-hmm. I certainly wanted to delve into that mystery, and by symbolically, perhaps, we got there, not as dynamically as I would have liked, but certainly we moved in that direction.
Here's Rockville, Maryland now for William Shatner. Hello.
Yes, good evening, gentlemen.
Hi.
I wanted to say that I've read your book, and I really enjoyed it very much.
Thank you.
And I'm excited that you're going to be writing some more, because I think there is a lot more, there seems to be a lot more to be said about this particular character.
Thank you. Tech Lords is the name of the second book, and
that'll be out in hardcover?
It'll be a hardcover in the wintertime.
Okay.
And it continues this character, and to give you a hint, Jake Cardigan was in the deep freeze, and Jimmy, you by extension, that became literally the deep freeze. Mm-hmm. Became the cooler.
Yeah.
And as a result of that, and the whole environment being cold and hard and brittle, robotic, I try to make Jake Cardigan warm up towards the end, to crack the ice that surrounds him. He falls in love, for example, with a replica of a girl rather than the girl itself. And in the second book, he's met and is delving into a relationship with the actual girl.
Wow, we'll look forward to that. Tech Lords, that'll be coming out. Tech War is here now in paperback, as we take a call now from Des Moines, Iowa. Hello.
Hello. Mr. Shatner, you did the narration for our Digistar here in Des Moines, and I'd like to say thank you for that.
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't understand that. Digistar?
Mm-hmm.
What is that?
It's a planetarium exhibit at our...
Oh, okay.
And I bought Tech War when it came out in hardback, and I just have a real quick question, and then I'll hang up and listen to your answer. Are you going to be doing any signing tours?
No, I will not be. I'm promoting the book on programs like this, and hoping that people like yourself, well, you've already bought the book, will buy it out of interest. It's fun reading, and that's as much promoting as I will do.
All right. Thank you very much for that call. And now to Farmington, New Mexico. You're on the air with Bill Shatner.
Hi, Mr. Shatner.
Hi.
I just wanted to call and say I'm a real big Star Trek fan, and I'm a real big fan of yours.
Thank you.
Really, basically wanted to call and say hi.
Well, that's very nice of you.
Indeed it is. Now, look, you've gotten this far. I mean, here you are talking to him. The odds of you being one-on-one with William Shatner again are remote. Don't you have a question?
No, not
really.
I want to be able to call just so I can tell my friends that I was able to talk to William Shatner.
Well, why do you want to talk to me?
I'm just a real big fan of yours.
Why?
Well, I've seen all the Star Trek movies and all of Star Trek, and I'm just a real big fan.
Well,
thank you very much.
We are very, very glad of that. I don't know. I'm the inveterate curiosity type of person. I mean, I couldn't possibly be in a situation like this without asking 20 questions if I got the chance, 50 if you let me. And of course, in this case, what can you do about it? You're stuck for 2 hours. Irving, Texas, you're on the air. Hello.
Hi, Mr. Shatner.
Hi.
Hi, I was curious. Someone mentioned earlier about you making a cameo, and you said no.
Mm-hmm.
What are the chances of say the next generation characters making a cameo in one of your pictures?
They're bound and determined to get these two.
They want to cross-pollinate here. Do a Burbank on the. I don't think so. I don't know how that would work. I mean, it seems to be apples and oranges. It seems to be, but you know, it's science fiction, and you can invent anything and bring people back from the dead.
I mean, after all, you time traveled and Star Trek.
Time traveled and all that. So I suppose it's within the realm of possibility. I don't think of it as dramatic, but maybe it would be if somebody came up with a good idea. But right off the top of my head, I don't see it as such.
We'll take a break. We'll come back with more calls for William Shatner. His new book is Tekwar, out in paperback. Back after these messages.
Most of us know how essential vitamin C is.
Larry King Show, and sitting in for Larry tonight, here's Jim Bohannon.
And more calls now for William Shatner as we go to Bethesda, Maryland next. Go ahead. Good morning.
Yes, 4 quick questions.
Make it 3, max.
3, okay. First, on the original Star Trek, did the saucer section separate from the Enterprise as it does on the Star Trek New Generation?
No, it did not.
Okay. Second, what exactly was the Kobayashi alternative that Kirk solved at the Academy?
I tell you, I have such a peculiar memory that I can remember 10 pages of dialogue and forget them the next day.
Well, I recall enough of this to know that simply it was revealed during that was Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, I guess, that you cheated on that famous scenario.
But he wants to know what it really was.
What it really was.
Yeah, and
yeah. Well, that was never revealed.
No, I really don't know. I think it's a. It's locked in the imagination.
Let's try the third one, caller.
Finally, I wonder. Spock's character obviously is supposed to be almost entirely logical and almost devoid of emotion, and Kirk, in contrast, to me anyway, seems too emotional to be captain of a starship. I mean, what thoughts do you have about that?
Well, I don't know. I guess, your opinion is as good as mine about what a starship captain must be like.
I mean, he did break down and cry frequently on the bridge, caller.
Well, gee, if you were on the bridge, you'd break down and cry, too. That is a very emotional place to be. I think I may have been guilty of excessive emotion at times as an actor, searching for a way to play a scene as fully as possible.
I always loved your dramatic pauses.
And dramatic pauses. I tell you, totally motivated by a desire to extract as much out of a scene as possible. I'm guilty of everything. Going too far, not going far enough. But acting for television is so quick. You have to make instantaneous choices. I mean, it's like saying, play the scene now. And you don't have a chance to do it a number of times and talk about it and adjudicate it, see it, do it again. Or, as in a play it in front of an audience and find out the audience is getting restless, you are condemned in this very same way that we're doing the talk show here. Every word you speak, that's it. You don't have any way of recalling the words and saying, I could have said that better, or I wish I hadn't said such and such.
Do you miss the feedback of your early days in Canada before live audiences?
Well, those audiences and the audiences subsequent to those early audiences I've played in years is supposed to have given me, I fantasize, an editor which modulates the way I perform based on my experience of what entertained audiences before. Actors who have had theater experience have a little editor inside them that says, this is good, this is bad, this is funny, this is not funny. And going on your own taste, which is the only thing you can, that's what you're doing. Now, on television, you don't have too much time even to listen to the editor. You're working totally by instinct. So those 3 years of series was picking it up as you went along. And looking back on some of that stuff, I would do it differently today. And then if you take the movies, I think the movies are better in some instances in terms of performances. I don't know. It's just the way I did it.
All right, now Peoria, hello. Peoria.
Mr. Shatner.
Yes.
I'm a big fan of yours. Big fan. Seen all the Star Trek episodes and everything. I had 2 questions for you. There used to be a Star Trek cartoon on some of the stations where I live.
Oh, yeah, Saturday mornings. And if I'm not mistaken, Bill, didn't you people actually do the voices on that?
We did. We did indeed. We were asked to do the voices, and somehow we all accepted. And I recorded those voices sometimes on location on other films in toilets. That's the absolute truth. We had to find a sound booth. The only sound booth on a location sometimes was the toilet. It was the quietest place. So we'd go in with the guy from the cartoonist place would come down with his recording devices, and they'd mic the bathroom and try and put up a blanket if it was too boomy, and we would do it in many a toilet.
And in case of unfortunate natural sound from the adjacent booth, well, they just
they'd
simply write in a beach scene, you know. Anyway, caller, what was your question?
That answered my first question.
Okay.
It sounded like your voices, and I wasn't sure.
Oh, yeah.
And the second question, it seems like more comedy has been thrown into the movies. It started in the second one with Kirk using the Enterprise computers to lower Reliant shields, and then just looking up at Khan on the screen and saying, okay, here it comes, and then opening fire on Reliant. And it seemed to culminate in the fifth one with total slapstick humor when Scotty knocks himself out on the beam after saying that he knows the Enterprise like the back of his hand.
That was a nice touch of slapstick, I must say.
And I like the humor a lot. I do. It adds a lot to the show, but I'm hoping that it doesn't go much beyond that kind of slapstick,
moments.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I think maybe we pushed the limits. We've pushed it to its furthest point. I agree with you.
In addition to the ears, in the next movie, Spock will have a red nose and a seltzer bottle. Sure. Perryville, Maryland, for William Shatner. Hello.
Yes, sir. Hello, Bill. How you doing?
Hi. You're good.
2 things that I'd like to ask you.
Sure.
One, on your book coming out, what is the crime rate in the future? How do you see it?
Mm-hmm.
You mean, are you asking a real question, or what's in his novel?
What's in his novel? Or, I mean, he had to have something to base that on, or what's he seeing there?
Greater Los Angeles is not the nicest place I ever read about, Bill.
It's pretty run down. It's pretty bad. Yeah,
it's pretty bad.
Well, it's polarized to a larger degree than it is now.
And the government's playing a bigger role.
No, I don't see it. Oh, I didn't imagine that. No.
I'll tell you honestly what I thought and what I visualized, and I want to see if you did the same thing. When I was reading Tekwar, in many cases I was seeing Blade Runner.
I think that had an unconscious influence on me. I think Blade Runner did. I was impressed by that picture. And, you know, again, it's a strange thing happens when you're doing science fiction. You say, all right, it's a sound booth 150 years from now. Well, now you have to invent a sound booth. What color is it? What are the chairs like? And you begin to make decisions on some imaginative instinct. I'm now talking as a writer and as a director in the more creative aspects. And so you start making decisions about what does a special effect look like? What does the ship do? And then somebody says, oh, yeah, they did that 5 years ago in such and such a film. You think, oh, my gosh, that's right. And it's implanted somewhere in your subconscious. And you're making decisions thinking it's a fresh, new decision. And suddenly it's very much like something you had been influenced by. So Blade Runner was, 5-6 years ago?
I guess so.
It was a landmark film. And it must have influenced me a great deal.
Yeah, and not certainly that I indicated plagiarism, but I saw in Tekwar, I saw the same kind of dark future in which technology was no longer bright, shiny new gadgets, but almost an oppressive aspect of our lives.
Yeah,
and that's what I saw.
I think, I imagined that. That's right. And who knows where those influences come from.
We'll pause briefly. Some more calls to come. William Shatner, our guest, back after these messages.
If you take pain relievers for
this fall, this winter, actually.
This winter, okay.
I'm working on another novel with a friend of mine, Michael Tobias. Michael Tobias I met when I did a 10-hour series for television. It will be on this fall in October, called Voice of the Planet. Michael Tobias wrote, produced, and directed it. And we began a friendship that has turned into a wonderful relationship. And we are collaborating on a novel in which we delve into the mystery of life after death. And it's an intriguing novel that we call at the moment, we're calling Believe, and we're halfway through it now.
Can you give us a rough idea of what type of novel?
It's the mystery. It's a mystery story of what lies beyond the great beyond, and it is intriguing in both in the way it's being written, the way it's coming out, and in the subject matter. The two larger-than-life characters placed in the 1920s when there was a great deal of attention paid to seances and mediums and that kind of thing. So we're working on that, and it's as against the Jay Cardigan novels, which were almost sold in advance. The publishers we're holding this one back until we finish it to put it up for auction. You know?
Yeah. What about this Voice of the Planet, by the way? You mentioned
that. Voice of the Planet is intriguing, Jim. You'll give me a 30-second warning here as I tell you about it.
Yeah.
It's 10 hours of what we are doing to the planet Earth, but it is done in a totally novel and intriguing way. The Gaia principle holds that the Earth is a live body, and we and all life on the Earth are part of the Earth, and that the Earth, Gaia, is the Greek name for Mother Earth. Well, I, as the host, am a character in the 10 hours, and
you are both host and character.
That's right, and I'm in Nepal, and in fact we were in Nepal, and a computer hacker breaks into an antique computer up there, and I begin to converse with the computer, and the computer begins to give me information, and in effect I correspond with this computer as I am looking for material on biology, and it turns out it's a woman who is this computer hacker, and as one would fall in love with someone you write letters to, I fall in love over the first 4 or 5 hours with this woman, purported woman, coming through the computer, whose voice I begin to hear. And as it turns out, it's not a woman, but it's Mother Earth. But by that time, I've fallen in love with her.
and she with me, so that I have fallen in love with Mother Earth, and Mother Earth has fallen in love with mankind. And as a result of that love and desire to help, the information about what we human beings are doing to the planet is given with love and with hope, and in a totally unique and different way.
Well, we'll look for that. That'll be on the Superstation, WTBS.
It'll be on TNT.
TNT.
On Turner's other station.
Okay.
Look for it. Voice of the Planet, a very unique and important series on television.
We will do it. Victoria, British Columbia, fellow Canadian call here, and you're on the radio. Thank you for waiting.
Yes, hello, Mr. Shatner.
Hi.
I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about your experience working on Judgment at Nuremberg, particularly with Montgomery Clift, and also what it was like to work on that episode of Twilight Zone.
Oh, the Twilight Zone where you were in the airplane.
Well,
no,
that takes...
the one where you were putting dimes or...
dimes in the thing, yeah.
Fortune.
Okay.
Judgment at Nuremberg was one of the first films I did when I came to Hollywood, and it was an all-star cast, and I had the kind of role that went through, besides being, I was Spencer Tracy's aide, and I got to see all these big stars come in for their turns and watch them come and watch them go. Being a novice and being basically shy anyway, I didn't talk to them so much as look at them from afar. I was starstruck, I suppose. And Montgomery Clift at that time in his life was going through all his pain and torment that we know about. He was an extraordinary performer, and even though he wasn't at his best physically, and he died not long thereafter, he was a consummate performer. But he was in terrible pain, physically and emotionally.
And the other part of it,
as for the
other part, we'll wait till another time, and that's just another good excuse to have you back, which we would love to do.
Delighted, Jim, anytime.
All right, William Shatner, our guest tonight from our studios in Los Angeles, and a number of projects he's got working on that we'll find a good reason to have him back on shortly. But for the moment, Tekwar, his latest novel, first novel, is out in paperback right now. We're going to have Open Phone Americas coming up. Jim Bohannon for Larry on the Mutual Broadcasting System.
Hi, this is Ted Brown. I'm excited to tell you about the 25th anniversary